If you want to know what the ToK examiners are really looking for, then you should read the ToK subject report. If you want to know what the common mistakes in the essay and exhibition are so that you can avoid them, then you should read the ToK subject report. Today, on ToK Today, we pick out the most interesting and informative bits of the May 2023 ToK subject report. Welcome to ToK Today. Likes, subs and comments are much appreciated. The Theory of Knowledge subject report is written by examiners after each exam session. It's a reflection on what the examiners have seen in the work submitted for the exam session. The report includes details on common mistakes made and recommendations for avoiding those mistakes. As such, the ToK subject report is the most definitive document for understanding what the examiners actually want, and I strongly recommend close reading of the ToK subject report for all ToK teachers and some ToK students. The ToK subject reports can be found in the Programme Resource Centre of MyIB. Now in this video I'll summarise some of the pertinent and interesting points about the ToK essay arising from the May 2023 ToK subject report, and in a couple of days I'll publish a similar video about the exhibition, and you can watch an earlier video about the previous ToK subject reports in the past, linked up here I think, or in the video description. So here are 10 top tips that we learn about the ToK essay from the May 23 ToK subject report. The first thing that jumped out at me is that the Chief Examiner recommends that students should not ignore any parts of the question, as this affects coherence of the answer. This is at the top of page 5. So, for example, if the question is, do you agree that it is astonishing that so little knowledge can give us so much power, which is a quote from Bertrand Russell, discussed with reference to the natural sciences and one other area of knowledge, the student has to deal with, firstly, the relationship between knowledge and power, secondly, why Russell found this relationship astonishing, and thirdly, whether you agree with Russell that it is astonishing. And you've got to do all of that through AOK Natural Sciences and one other AOK. And you've got to do all of that in less than 1,600 words. That's a lot to do. Moving on to the second recommendation from the examiners. The second one that I've picked out is that students need to ensure that they are precisely and directly reading the question. For example, question 2, May 23, asked, for artists and natural sciences, which is more important? And many students didn't even write about artists and natural sciences. They just considered it for people in general, for the general public. And I saw a lot of misreading of questions both in the last exam session and this exam question. Moving on to the third tip. The examiners stressed the importance of building an argument by using contrasting claims or evaluation points, particularly in complex essays. For example, that question 4, do you agree that it's astonishing that so little knowledge can give us so much power, discussed with references to natural sciences and one other area of knowledge, the student could build a structure of arguments using contrasting claims and evaluation points. The next point really surprised me. Apparently, visual representations, for example, charts, graphs, paintings, drawings, are now appropriate in the ToK essay. And this relates to essay 5 about diagrams. Now, I seem to remember that in the past it was said that visual representations would be ignored, so this is a change. The fifth tip is one that I'm constantly saying to students that contact me from around the world. Focus on writing a critical explanation of the prescribed title, which is the driving question, rather than writing a descriptive essay. Now, it's important to note that a critical exploration includes arguments supported by examples, implications of arguments and evaluation, awareness of and evaluation of different points of views, and limitations of arguments. Don't be too descriptive. 20% description, 80% analysis. On we go to the sixth point, and the sixth point is we now use the term points of view rather than counterclaim. Points of view allows for a more nuanced range of points than a counterclaim. Points of view do not necessarily contradict nor cancel out the initial claim. Moving on to the seventh tip. And the seventh tip is that examples should be explicitly connected to the knowledge argument and shown to justify a point. Use of RLS is one of the weakest areas that I see in ToK essays all the time. The eighth tip is that examples drawn from the student's own studies or their own life generally make better examples because it's easier for the student to analyse them and to understand the implication of the example. Tip number 9 deals with the most frequently misused area of knowledge, and that's area of knowledge history. When writing about AOK history, it's recommended that students consider that the history of events are at least 10 years old, the history of events that have been investigated by historians rather than by journalists, and the process of the production of historical knowledge rather than the event itself. This is a mistake that I see often, that students write about the historical event and not about the knowledge of that historical event, which is being created or constructed by historians. Now, it was noted by examiners that geography and economics are often used really well as disciplines in the human sciences. So consider it. If you study geography or economics, make sure you use them when you're discussing human sciences. And the final and 10th tip is that the planning and progress form is of increasing importance as an academic integrity check as we see the growth of things like artificial intelligence and those dastardly help sites. Anyway, so there we have it, 10 things that I've learned or things that have stood out for me in the May 2023 ToK subject report. The report has many other points of interest in it and is far more detailed and has far more detailed explanations than I can include here. So I'd recommend getting the ToK subject report from the IB website. If you want more help with the teaching or learning of ToK, then head over to the toktoday.com website to check out the resources available there. And always feel free to contact me for coaching or for help at daniel@toktoday.com. Watch out in a couple of days for a video with tips on the ToK exhibition that come from the May 2023 subject report. Stay ToKtastic, my friends.